Hey there, this is Alex Kluge, and I'm with Toronto Home Experts, and I'm going to dive into the August 2021 Toronto real estate market update. Now, before we begin, I just want to set a little bit of context to some of the numbers we're going to look at today, because you're going to see a common theme, and that theme is that there is extremely low inventory. And that's what drives the numbers behind what we're going to see in August 2021. And don't forget, a lot of the comparisons when we're looking at a year-over-year change is we're looking back to August 2020, and that was not a normal real estate market either. And so, when we're comparing this year to last year, I think there was certainly a lot less inventory than we're typically accustomed in August. And that's probably because we had a very extended sales window. And really, that started from June 2020. And we started seeing a little bit of a reduction in inventory in July, and that was far more pronounced in August. And my predictions, before we even get to review the August 2020 numbers, is that we're going to start seeing a far more active September relative to what I would call a normal fall market. So, anyways, let's dive into those numbers. So, sales volume is down almost 20%, which in of itself is not all that surprising. As I said, we saw a lower a reduction in inventory, which we're getting into some of that in a few minutes. So ultimately, that's going to lead to lower sales. But where the true story is, and I was saying to you earlier, is when we're calling the active listings. Like, look at this. We're down 50% from where we were last year. So we're at 8,201, and you compare that to the year over year before. So the interesting thing is when you say, like, okay, yeah, last year was kind of an anomaly. Where does it really compare to the previous years? Um, the August active listings at 8,200 is the lowest it's been over the last 17 years. Like, take that into consideration. So, that was surprising. And why is that? Well, again, it's low inventory, right? Like, why? And people are asking me, well, why is there less inventory? Like, typically the summer months we do see a little bit of a slowdown, but there's just people don't want to sell their property, whether it's a condo or a house or semi-detached. Like, I think there was a little bit of what I want to call taking a breather, right? So I think this summer was, let's take advantage. We've got vaccine rollouts, we've got quote unquote a little bit of more of a normal summer than we had last summer. So I think people just said, okay, let's put this on pause and we'll revisit this fall. So my prediction again, we're going to see a very active fall, and the numbers, September 2021 numbers, are going to look very similar to what we would have seen like in a more normal market like 2019 or 2018. Okay, so new listings again is down 43%, not a surprise based on what we were just talking about. And this number is the lowest we've seen in the last 11 years. So again, low inventory is an issue, and that was a big part here. So what's interesting when you compare the sales to new listings, that ratio is at 81% for August, and that is actually the highest it's been over the last 15 years. So what is that telling us? It's just saying, like, really, like, the inventory, whatever is on the market, is selling. And 81% is very, very high. Like a more typical year, I would say, we're looking at somewhere in a typical, like what I call a hot market, it might be in the 65, maybe 70% range at the most. So 81% is quite aggressive. So again, this is telling the story of what's happening is that there's low inventory. A lot of it's being absorbed in the marketplace, and that's putting an upward pressure on price. So get to price. Now we're up 12.6%. Average price from last year to this year, and that's pretty consistent with what we're seeing right now in many of the pockets across Toronto. Now, thing to think about, this is just an average price, and this takes into consideration the greater Toronto real estate area. So, certain pockets aren't performing to the same degree as, or maybe having 12%. So really, downtown is a little bit more, I would say, a little bit more sheltered, and those numbers aren't quite year over year 12%. But certainly, when we're looking at the 905 region, which has really been driving a lot of this earlier, but now is flowing back into the 416. So We're seeing a lot of freeholds, townhomes being sort of the product of choice right now for buyers in the marketplace in the 416. So days on market. So if we've got a low inventory market, what's going to happen? Well, we're going to see days on market obviously go down. So we're at 15, which again, from historical standards, is incredibly low. And so, we expect that to continue this fall as well. Now, months of inventory, as you know, if you're a regular watcher of this YouTube channel, months of inventory is one of my favorite metrics to look at to tell you what's really happening in the market. And we're at 1.1. Like if anyone watched last year's video at 1.7, you would have said, 1.7. I would have said that's so low. And it was from that standpoint. So just to give you some context, 1.1 from a historical standpoint is probably the lowest number you're going to find, especially at this time of year, from a historical standpoint. So when you have months of inventory that low, it just goes to show that there's going to be upward price movement. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on the current inventory that's on the market and put an upward pressure on price. So what does that mean? So if you're a buyer, it's going to be a challenge to buy in this market. Multiple offers are going to be commonplace. Selling above the asking price are going to be commonplace. Property is going to sell quickly. Preemptive offers. We're going to see that all come back to life again in September. Now, when I say come back to life, like in August, we had a little bit of a pause because of the low inventory, even though we still saw that fairly consistently. I'm going to say that's going to be the norm when we're looking at real estate going forward in September and leading into October as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and we want to say that we welcome all the new subscribers, and we love all the interaction that we're getting on social media. Feel free to hit us on any of our social channels. You can always get in touch with us, and we're very responsive with any questions you might have about the real estate market, how it applies to you. We're always happy to help and provide some guidance that way. Anyways, thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you on the next month. Bye for now.